I always think that you should start with the problem that you're trying to solve in the world and not start with deciding that you want to build a company. Right? I mean, the best companies that get built are things that are trying to drive some kind of social change, even if it's just local in one place. More than starting out because you want to make a bunch of money or have a lot of people working for you or build some company in some way. So, I always think that this is kind of a perverse thing about Silicon Valley in a way, which is that, people decide often that they want to start a company before they even decide what they want to do. And that just feels really backwards to me. And, for anyone who's had the experience of actually building a company, you know that you go through some really hard things along the way. And I think part of what gets you through that is believing in what you're doing and knowing that what you're doing is really delivering a lot of value for people. And that's, I think, how the best companies end up getting made.
Starting something, it's just kind of hard. You need to be pretty headstrong about it, right? And there are going to be all these challenges that come up. And I think the main thing that you need to do is just not give up, right? And kind of know what you want to do. And the best entrepreneurs who I've met don't really start companies because their goal is to build a company. They do it because they want to make a change in the world and help people. And I think if you kind of stay true to that and if you just focus on kind of powering through no matter what the challenges are that will inevitably come up in your path, then you'll find that there are lots of tools that are available and a lot of people who will help you build what you're building.
Most companies are started on like a couple of ideas, and those are like a few things that they do well, right? So I mean, Yahoo's was like, we're going to organize all this information in the world like by directory, right? And that was like what they started off doing. They kind of diversified out as time went on and built more stuff. A lot of that stuff is like the core of their business now. I mean, it's like they didn't originally do search, and now directory just like doesn't exist. It sucks. There's like no utility for it. Google's big thing was just like they did PageRank, and then I guess like out of PageRank, they have search, and now they kind of extend that to do other similar type of algorithms, searching in other spaces. But I mean, you can kind of tell how like all the other stuff that they're doing is sort of tangential, and it's like they're trying really hard to like make PageRank and other types of algorithms that are very similar to that like work in their spaces. And it's just like not as elegant or pure of an idea as the original one was. So I mean, Facebook, for example, when it just got started, like what I thought was the most interesting thing was just to be able to type in someone's name and find out information about them. I mean, there was like hardly any of the stuff that was there now. There's no groups. There was no messages even. I mean, so it's like you kind of get started on like some kind of core idea, and that's like, and generally like the company will do well because I guess like the people who are starting off working on that core idea kind of understand that single core idea in some sort of unique way, but that doesn't imply that they have any better understanding of anything else than anyone else. So that's why kind of surrounding yourself with a lot of smart people is really important. I think one difference between sort of the way stuff works in a company and the way stuff works in school is that this is a very iterative process, right? And like, I mean, it's nice when you get stuff right the first time, but like, we don't need to. And I think that a lot of companies go through phases where they just like, or stages where they don't get stuff right the first time. Like Microsoft, I mean, I don't know when the last time was that they had a good product before version 4, but like by the time they get to version 4, it's like always good, for the most part. So I guess in general, the idea is that it doesn't have to be perfect the first time around. And as long as you get the architecture as right as possible, then a lot of the other implementation stuff isn't going to be as big of a deal, and you can sort of work that out at any time.
I think that the way that you achieve the best long-term value is by building real value in the world. Are we actually helping them achieve their goal of understanding the world? And if we could do that, then I don't think we're going to have a hard time making a lot of money.
First of all, focus on it, right? I mean, I think like you basically get what you spend your time doing, right? I mean, I want the company to build 3 products this year. I mean, we're going to work on a few others because people are interested in them, but those are the 3 things that I'm spending my product time on, right? You get what you put into it. If you spend a third of your time trying to make the people around you better through getting better people, mentoring, getting them to be better, getting the best people in your organization who you know into more impactful roles, then I think over time that just accrues and you get a better organization. So many things go wrong when you're starting a company, and often I think people ask, what mistakes should you avoid making? And my answer to that question is don't even bother trying to avoid mistakes because you're going to make tons of mistakes, right? And the important thing is actually learning quickly from whatever mistakes you make and not giving up. Right, and I mean, there are things every single year of Facebook's existence that could have killed us or made it so that it just seemed like moving forward and making a lot of progress just seemed intractable. But you just kind of bounce back and you learn, and nothing is impossible. You just have to kind of keep running through the walls. We've had this tradition for, I don't know, probably 7 or 8 years at the company, where every week we have a Q&A. Where our employees can come and ask me any question that they want about what's going on and what the direction of the company is, or questions or things that they read about in the press, or that their friends who use the product, what they're asking them. And it's been this really important tradition for us, both because we really believe in openness and communication, and that's kind of what Facebook is all about. But it's also really important for me and for running the company to be able to get feedback. Right, and to be able to learn what's on people's minds, what our employees and folks who are part of our team are thinking about, and just kind of a lot of the time there are good questions that people ask that change the way that we think about what we're building and what we're here to do in the world, and that often make us go think and reevaluate how we should be approaching different problems. I don't hire people who I wouldn't work for myself. I think that's a really good heuristic because everyone knows this. Like, there's this saying like, A players hire A players and B players hire C players, which is like good people hire good people. Yeah. And I don't think that that's that informative, right? Because I mean, what are you going to say, like, to someone in your organization?
Hire better
B
people.
Player, you don't get to hire people. Like, I mean, no. I mean, and I think a lot of the time the problem is you don't actually know. I mean, sometimes you're like trying to figure out how good someone is. If you didn't think they were good, you wouldn't have hired them. But the heuristic of only hiring people who you would work for tends to be pretty good, I think. Because then it's like, then that you know, right? It's like, I would not work for this person, then okay, I'm not going to like stretch just because I need to fill a role today.
The most important thing to me is to be within walking distance of the office, so every morning I can just wake up and walk 5 or 10 minutes to work. In economics, there's the concept of elasticity, right? When the efficiency of doing something goes up, the demand for it goes up. And I think that this applies not only to how people use Facebook, but to how marketing is going to work and how development is going to work as well, right? The easier it is to build products, the more people build products. The more effective the marketing gets, the more people are going to advertise.